What was the process behind getting Gerry? Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's actually an awesome question. So one day Ethan just came to the office and he's like, we're going to buy this dog. I was like, what do you mean we're going to buy a dog? And he brings it up and he shows me. He's like, we're going to get this. We're going to get it wrapped, get a skin on it, and it's just going to be for advertising. And I was like, that sounds fun. Like, what's the logic here? And he was like, well, it embodies what we do, right? So we're super tech focused. We try and do things differently, and we want to stand out. That's why our colour's orange. And so I was like, look, if you wanna go down that route, get it done. And then literally the next day, Ethan's like, cool, I've ordered it. Arrives on this date. It's booked in for sign writing on this date. And literally since day one, we've just taken it out as much as possible. And any time it goes anywhere, people just crowd, and it's a conversation piece. It's, oh, what do you guys do? Like, why do you have this? How does this work? So,
have you had any attributable business from it? Like, have you had anyone that's like seen it on content or like?
I'd like to say I hope so. We haven't had anything that's like a trackable metric in terms of, hey, somebody's gone, we saw your dog, we want to chat insurance. But it's more around brand awareness just because it stands out like a sore thumb and people ask the question. Yeah, totally. But hopefully somebody's come in the door because they've seen the dog and we just don't know.
Yeah, so. That's it. No, cool. Were there other products that were on the shortlist as well? Were there other robotic?
There wasn't anything else robotic based. I mean, we'd been looking at our marketing this year with the goal to be, we want to go from like a small brand to a big brand. We want to be recognised in the household. So you've probably hopefully seen some of our stuff around. We've had a few New Zealand athletes. So Wolton, New Zealand's fastest man, 100 metre resident record holder and 60 metre outright record holder. Had some ads with him that sort of talked about, hey, if you want insurance done quickly, use Gerrard's. That's why I use them, that kind of thing. And so Gerry was just the evolution of that. Cool. That's like a normal social media campaign, right? Get an influencer on there and spread it around. So we got Gerry involved on how can we be different? What's something different? Mm-hmm. But there wasn't anything else in the framework in terms of is it Gerry or this? Gerry just came up. It was the right time, and we like to make decisions quickly, and so he just eventuated super fast.
That's so good, man. That's so good. What's your fitness rhythm at the moment?
I'm not a fan of running.
No.
I hate running. It's not enjoyable for me in the slightest. Don't mind the gym, although I don't really have the body or eat enough calories to maintain anything. But yeah, long distance running's not for me. After I stopped high jumping, I did a little bit of sprinting. So Tian, who's in our ads, New Zealand's fastest man over the 60 and the 1, happens to also be one of my best mates and my flatmate. So after high jump, I joined his squad for a bit, for maybe 18 months, and did a little bit of sprint work with them, which was a lot of fun. I actually really enjoyed that. But yeah, long distance, going for a jog, not really for me. So big walker though. My girlfriend and I pretty much every night without fail do a walk after dinner kind of thing. Yeah. But yeah, we're not a huge fan of running. So.
Nah. Do you track steps?
Yeah, that was the idea behind the new wearable. Because Whoop, just after I got rid of mine, brought in a step counter.
Right, yeah.
Is what it is. And so Tian, unfortunately, the Sunto watch it's not actually released yet. It's one of their prototypes. They sent him 4 and said, hey, we want you to test it, create some content. He's like, I got 4, so here you go, because I mentioned I want a step counter. Yeah. So as of like a week ago, I'm tracking steps, but it's abysmal. So today I'm on 938 steps. I've just been sat at my desk since like 7 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to hit 10,000 a day, so there's a lot of walking in the evening after work.
Just getting that step count in, right?
Yeah, I mean, unpopular opinion, for me it's thermogenic, right? It's just calories in, calories out.
Yeah.
But there's an interesting guy on Instagram, I don't know what his name is, but I see him on my Explore page sometimes, and what he does is he tracks an influencer for a day who's maybe posting about their diet or their food, and they usually count their calories up in the video, and then he compares what he thinks their calories should be in the video. He's a dietitian or something along those lines, and it's always different. He's always like at least 20% different. Usually he's higher than what that person thinks their calories is.
Right.
And he does a lot of education around it and explains that like the average person just incorrectly tracks their calories, which is often why people are like, oh, I'm eating in a deficit, but I'm not losing weight.
Yes.
But he also talks about how easy it is to eat too many calories. You know, you buy a pack of Oreos, which I'm guilty of smashing a whole one of those, and that's like 1,200 calories. Yeah. You know, and it's just like these little biscuits.
Totally.
And it's so easy to do.
So easy. Yeah.
And then liquid calories.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting, right? Like frappuccinos or,
Yeah. It's like, oh, my coffee order's 350 calories. That's crazy, you know? And then I'm having one of those a day.
Totally. Just take a quick moment to say thank you to one of our sponsors, Gerrard's Insurance. I am a Gerrard's customer and I am absolutely thrilled to be working with them. They're speedy, efficient, and they just get it done. So get in touch with Gerrard's. You won't regret it. Speaking of books, you got any favorites? You're a book guy?
Yeah, I'm trying to be more of a book guy. When I was at school and uni, I read heaps, and then recently I haven't read a lot. So I've been trying to get more and more into reading. Last book I finished was probably Diary of a CEO.
Oh, yeah.
Really enjoyed that. Just loved his 33 rules and laws about life and business. I thought it was a really interesting take. Stephen's just a great communicator in terms of getting a message out. So I really enjoyed that. That was a great read. There's a book I read before that Ethan recommended called, I think it's called How to Make a Few $1 Billion by Brad Jacobs, I think is his name.
Yeah.
And that was a really good read. It was just about what he's done in business and his take on things. And I was pretty amazed by how transparent he is as a CEO. And then I've been given a book called, I think it's called The Purple Cow by Rob Vertogen. And the idea is it's like purple cow marketing as a purple cow stands out more than any other cow. And he got the idea of that book based on Gerry. He saw Gerry and he was like, that's amazing.
Yes.
And then he went and got this book and he's like, you need to read this.
Right,
So that's next in my reading list.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
No, what are you reading at the moment? Any favourites?
Yeah, I've just got a new one yesterday, actually, courtesy of Ron, who we were just talking about.
Yeah.
So it's like What to Do Next, or The Next Thing, I think it's called. It's by the same author as the Profit First.
Okay. And so what's not 100% on Profit First?
So guy Mike Michalowicz.
Cool.
So it's called Fix This Next. So essentially it's the concept of like owning a business, there's a gazillion competing priorities. What one do you tackle next?
What do you target? Yeah.
What do you target? Yeah. And so I'm only a few chapters into it, but so far so good.
So far so good. So what's the key takeaway so far?
Well, I mean, the key thing that they've done so far is just highlight the problem. And so he's about to apply the framework that, you may want to, consider. Cool. But he's talking about the pyramid of needs and like, have you heard of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Yep.
Yeah. And so this is sort of like the business version of that.
Okay.
And how often like intuition in day-to-day life can be good, but then sometimes it can't be good in a business context. We can often, I guess, confuse our own intuition with business priorities and strategies. So keep you posted on.
Yeah, cool.
On the
I'd love to hear.
But so far so good. It's very relatable, and it's something that most people sort of tend to struggle with, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good read. So I should probably add it to the list, to be fair.
It's a good one. Yeah, go Ron.
Yeah. Has he read it? Is he a fan of it?
Yeah, he's a fan of it. I don't know if you've heard of the other one, Profit First.
No, I haven't.
So it's essentially like, in a nutshell, it's like instead of income minus expenses, then hopefully there's profit left.
Mm-hmm.
The premise of this is like take the profit off first, and whatever percentage that is. So like each month or each week or whatever the case is, just sweep away the profit so that it's a given.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a good read.
It does sound like a good read. For us, we'd look at it and we go, we can either target growth or profitability, but we probably need to do like 200% into one. We can't sort of pick and choose between both. And so at present, we're just targeting growth. But that sounds like an interesting read.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like with books, like if you can get one practical takeaway from them, then it's a win. Like the amount of books I've read, like it's not something I'm proud of, but like there's so many books I've read that I can't really remember what the key takeaway was.
Sure.
And I found like ChatGPT to be really helpful with like a reminder, like this book that I've apparently read. Can you just remind me what the key like premise is and how to maybe apply this to my business?
And it does quite well with it.
Very well, yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, it's a really good hack.
I might have to give that a go.
It's a good one, yeah. Yeah, I found it incredibly helpful. Or even that one, like based on this book and based on my business and what you know about me, how can I best get the most out of this book? Yeah. Do you use AI much?
Yeah, we use it personally, obviously not a lot, other than every now and then I used to be like, cool, this is what I've got in the fridge, what can I make with it? Because that actually works quite well.
Yeah.
But business-wise, we use it quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're trying to implement it in pretty much everything we do. So our viewpoint is, a lot of people have a negative lens, AI is going to steal jobs. Our viewpoint is more, it might steal jobs, but the ones it doesn't, it's probably going to make them 10 times or 100 times more efficient. Totally. So we're trying to push that envelope. So we've got quite a few initiatives without giving too much away in terms of what we're doing, but it's definitely a big and getting bigger part of what we're doing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
What's your favorite use for AI personally and in business?
Probably my favorite prompt of all time is because I use it quite a lot. I use it as a sounding board, as a way to like explore ideas. I use it a lot, and so it's developed quite a context over myself.
Okay, so it's got a wealth of knowledge. So
exactly.
It can actually give.
And so what I really like to do is ask it where my biggest weaknesses are, or like how can I be better?
Yeah,
as in, like don't hold back.
Is it quite confronting with what comes out?
It can be, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, because usually it's got a positive bias. Like it is generally quite nice.
Yeah.
So if you ask it to remove that bias, it definitely will. And so I guess that's like the most valuable prompt I've found, just because it doesn't sugarcoat it, and it can like help just help provide the unknown to you, like what you don't actually know. So that's been helpful.
Yeah, one of my friends, Kaius from Platinum Finance, he sent me a text and said, put this prompt into ChatGPT right now. It was a similar thing. It was like, hey, tell me where I'm failing, what I can do better, you know, and be black and white about it. Don't sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
And this big little spiel came out, you know, and then it gave me some actionables at the end.
Right.
It was like, these are what you need to do before the next time you put a prompt into me. And I was like, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, everything it said was pretty good, to be fair. You know, you couldn't really fault it. It gave an objectionable, just a black and white opinion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is based on what I know of you. This is what I think you should do differently and implement. So
Interesting. It's such a fast moving thing as well, right? Like I found myself down a YouTube vortex the other night, and it was explaining how to use it for like that deep research function. I don't know if you've used that.
a little bit.
Yeah, it was just giving the comparison of like this YouTuber had like previously paid, 15, 20 grand for like a marketing plan, research plan. Whereas like the ChatGPT and like deep research just did the same thing in 20 minutes on a $20 a month subscription.
That's crazy.
And I was like, that is crazy. Yeah.
There's a YouTube channel, I think it's called 2 Minute Papers, and this guy is fantastic because 2 Minute Papers is like the releases that come out that say, hey, this is the new functionality. And he largely focuses on video creation, content creation using AI, and essentially just breaks down new iterations and programs and options that come out, and then pretty much pulls them apart and says, hey, this is the things they fail on or struggle with. And just seeing his videos over the last like 6 months, how much the AI generated content is changing to a point where sometimes a video has got an AI stamp on it, and I'm like, I wouldn't have known. There was one probably about a month ago, and it's a beekeeper.
Right.
And there's hundreds of bees flying around, so quite a complex thing to create.
Yeah.
And it looks so real.
Wow.
So real. Obviously, in that same video, it struggled with things like fluid dynamics and things and all of that. But yeah, it's just changing so fast. You're right.
Yeah.
So fast.
What are your predictions for it in the next, say, year? Like, where do you think we'll be at this time next year in terms of like off-the-shelf products or?
That was a really good question. That was a really, really good question.
Because that's sort of the big unknown, right? Like.
Yeah, that's what everybody's gambling with, right? They're like, what side do we invest in, and what do we try and use and implement? I think quality of life for people will be really, really affected by AI. But I listened to a podcast that Lucky Palmer was on, who I think he founded Meta and sold it to Facebook, and then now he's involved in what's it called, Anvil or Advar, whatever it is.
Andrew,
that's the one, right?
He's a wild dude, eh?
He's such a wild dude. But he talked about what he thinks is happening in the next 12 months and what they're trying to do with getting AI implemented into war. And so I think the biggest changes will probably be in that space, in the war space. What he talked about with, hey, if you have like someone who's a gunner on a turret, they're a high value target for an enemy to shoot at. Whereas now if we have some form of AI that controls that, I think a lot of those improvements are going to be where money goes to and the focus is made with the current state of things. But personally, I think just quality of life for people will get better. Have you seen the movie Her? With the Joaquin Phoenix?
Yeah.
Because he's got like that AI assistant, right? And it does everything and anything for him and books appointments and keeps his calendar. And I think that'll be where the everyday person's usage comes in, stuff like that, right? ChatGPT will be a voice in your phone that just pops out and says, remind you've got this, or don't forget this, or hey, I heard you say this, but maybe you should,
A bit more integrated.
Yeah.
I see, are you an Apple or an Android kind of?
I'm an Android guy. I've been Samsung for years.
Yeah. I see the Apple intelligence kind of flopped a little bit.
I did hear not great things, but I haven't experienced anything firsthand with Siri or any changes.
No.
What's been happening there?
I just heard I could be wrong, but I just don't think it was quite as good as they anticipated. I think the processing power required
sure
might have been a bit more than they thought.
It's also such an evolving space. I feel like when Apple makes a project, they curate it to be, perfect, essentially. They don't want to unveil anything that's not purely polished. But with AI, I think you probably need to be a bit more raw. And if you release something, get it out and then tweak it as it goes in real time. Because as you said, things are going so fast in the AI space.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what else we'll see in the next year. Like, I think better integration. I think you'll be able to merge like work data, for example, with emails, and hopefully it's all just a bit more seamless.
Well, I think comfort's like a key for everyday sales, right? A lot of people buy things that make life more comfortable, right? You get the comfier couch, the bigger TV, the bigger phone, the bigger fridge, things that just make life easy. And so if AI is going to make life easy, everything's integrated, everything's in the same ecosystem, I think people will spend money on that.
Yeah. And I mean, that just begs the question around like SEO for AI, right?
I have seen a bit of stuff about that online where it's like AI agents are going to other AI agents and connecting, and that's a better form of SEO than, anything you make organically on your website, but I don't know too much about it. Have you seen much on that?
No, not really. No, I haven't. No, other than it's a different process apparently.
Yeah.
Although you'd think it would be the same, right? I don't know.
I don't know enough about AI to be able to.
Have you heard of the book or read the book? Scary Smart.
No, I haven't.
Guy Mo Goddard. He used to work for Google and like the innovation.
That
center.
name rings a bell though.
Yeah, he's quite a character. The book essentially is like prophesizing a couple of different paths that we could go down. It's a few years old now, so I'm not sure if it's still relevant, but essentially like the AI is learning about humanity through the internet, which is a bit of a mixed bag. There's a lot of information, but there's also a lot of dumb comments in there.
Yeah.
So
that's actually a really good point.
yeah, and so
How does an AI filter for what's true and what's not true?
and that's one of the problems.
Probably jobs will arise that'll be AI fact checkers that are people to make sure that the information coming out is correct. There might be an unforeseen job that is created.
Yeah.
Because how do you make an AI filter for what it sees in Reddit, for example, right?
That's it.
Because a lot of that is opinionated or maybe comes through a very different lens to reality. So.
Yeah, that's it. You mentioned a few podcasts there. Have you got a couple that you listen to? Or?
I really only listen to one at the moment, which is the All In podcast. And it used to be what I found was more, tech, science, investing, markets influenced. But with what's been happening in the US, it's now more political. I feel half the episode is just politics, which, as we've discussed, I'm not super interested in. But US politics as a whole is quite interesting at present. But that's my main podcast, and obviously Gerry, the CEO, I used to listen to. Mm-hmm. But no detriment to that. I just feel like the algorithm they use is way too polished now. You sort of, every interview is the same. The questions are all more or less the same, and the flow is always the same, and there's never any change. So don't listen to that as much as I do. But I feel like podcasts are a benefit. I don't allow myself enough just because I'm sitting at my desk working, right? So I've got 900 steps on my watch today. But they're one of those things where when you've got the time, they're great because they're always a fountain of knowledge. Yeah. Usually. But to answer your question, there's not a lot on my list other than the All In podcast at the moment. It's just one episode a week, so it's easy enough to listen to.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Do you find yourself going through seasons of different content, either whether it's like a podcast or I don't know, some other kind of creator or YouTube channel or something like that?
Yeah, probably my taste probably undulate a bit, unbeknownst to me, just as things happen and come up that are topical and relevant in life. I've only recently started listening to podcasts, for example. My attention span, if I'm just sitting there trying to focus on other people's voices, not great. So admittedly, every podcast I listen to is on 1.5 times speed, because then I have to actively try and listen and actually take it in. But I'm not one of those people who can sit down and be doing something and have the podcast on and retain it. And that's not me. So
no, neither. Yeah. And are you a watch or a listen?
Or a listen. Yeah.
Yeah. It always caught me off guard when people watch this. They prefer to watch it, even if it's 2 hours long. So it's that's interesting.
Well, I mean, that model works for Joe Rogan, right? He's got 4-hour long podcasts, and his YouTube stats show that people watch the whole video.
It's nuts, right? So I wonder if they're people that are fully dedicated or if it's in the background or who knows?
Couldn't tell you.
Probably
a bit of both, to be fair.
Yeah. How about travel? Are you into travel?
Travel, yeah, into travel. I'm in the fortunate position where a lot of my family lives in the US.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been back and forth there over the last few years quite a bit and been able to go and see them. And traveling when you've got free accommodation with family, so good.
Makes
you've got so much more dispensable income to spend on other activities. So I've spent quite a bit of time, fortunately, in New York and in LA.
Oh yeah.
And then a bit in Lake George, which is upstate New York. And then prior to that, I've also got family in Cape Town, South Africa. So have previously been there over the years, but haven't ticked off Europe yet. That's on the list. And then Asia, been to China when I was a kid, but that hardly counts. But have a trip to Zimbabwe coming up end of June, early July.
Wow.
So I was born in Zim. And moved to New Zealand when I was 5, so never been back. So meeting Dad and my 3 siblings over there and doing a bit of a camping trip in the bush kind of thing. Wow. So we'll be fully disconnected for a while.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, what an experience.
Yeah, I'm a bit nervous for it, to be honest.
Yeah?
It's not the safest place in the world, and I'm going to be in a tent, but anyway, we'll see how it goes.
What I don't know too much about Zimbabwe. Is that where the safaris are generally, or?
Yeah, there's plenty of safaris and game reserves in Zim. I mean, Africa and South Africa as a whole is covered in them. It's one of their biggest, I think, money makers in terms of tourism. If you go to the wrong one, you'll pay thousands of dollars a night to stay there. Whereas if a local smaller one, you won't. You'll pay a tenth of that. But yeah, they're definitely everywhere. So in terms of Zim, I don't know. I haven't been back since I was 5. So I'll let you know when I come back what it was like. Yeah.
It's funny, we did a safari in Sri Lanka. It was just so like average, right? It was like they've got all these photos of like leopards and like big game and stuff, and then we get there and there's like a couple of peacocks and a goat, and it's just like,
And that was it.
yeah, we saw like a couple of elephants, but it was just funny. It was like totally saturated and populated with like the 4-wheel drives. Like there was just so many people,
But just not a lot of game to
not
see.
a lot of animals. No,
Yeah, okay.
but yeah, that's my one safari experience.
You guys have to go to South Africa and do
Totally.
one over there. So I've done a few. I did my internship when I was at university in Cape Town at a private equity firm called Coast to Coast in their marketing department. And so every weekend out somewhere doing something kind of thing. It's such a happening place down there. And went to a game park called what was it called? It was called the Addo Elephant Park. And you go up what's called I think it's called the Garden route up along the East Coast. And so I drove there, and it's one of those safaris where you can just drive around yourself. And
wow.
yeah, it was so cool. So drove around there for a day pretty much and saw pretty much everything except for lions. But, giraffes, saw buffaloes, saw elephants, saw a rhino, which was not advertised.
Wow.
But over there, they typically don't obviously advertise those because of poachers and things. So I saw a rhino, and yeah, that was epic. So I saw like everything you could except for lions, but at least enough that I felt like it wasn't average like the Sri Lanka one,
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool to have.
I'll show you photos afterwards. I've still got them. So I've got the baby rhinos and things. Pretty cool.
Wow. Where's on your list, like top of the list after Zimbabwe?
Yeah, good question. I always say like, oh, Europe's next. But I just love going back to America and seeing my family.
America's cool.
There's something about that, especially when you don't see family that you're close with for like a year at a time, 2 years at a time. Going back and seeing them is so nice. And end goal for me is to end up in the States. So I love the idea of living in New York or LA and raising a family there. So hopefully my partner agrees with that. But she's down with most ideas I have. So.
Okay. Yeah,
But
right.
yeah, so at some point she wants us to go to do like Japan, do the classic trip. Got a friend, Jack Marshall, who just got back from Japan and it looked unreal. So realistically, that's probably next on the list.
Yeah. I hear a lot of people going to Japan lately.
Well, I always see them advertising on, like I say them, I always see, people posting about you got to go to Japan, Japan's the next trip and this and that about tourist visas and things. And so it just looks so friendly to Westerners.
Yeah. No, I'm keen to head there pretty soon.
You much of a skier? You going to go hit the slopes?
I used to do a lot of skiing. I grew up skiing and did my like instructor course and got right into it for a phase there. But
cool.
I've sort of been and gone with that, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I lived in Canada for a little bit. So I did
is
a bit
that
of
the
skiing
instructing
over
side of things came in there? Or?
there. No, that was in Europe. Lived in Canada, but did a little bit at like Whistler and a couple of other resorts over there. But coming back to New Zealand, it's been a bit hard to.
Yeah, okay. It probably doesn't compare, right? Going up Mount Hartwell, Mount Cheeseman compared to
harder. Yeah, it's just like
sure.
logistics, but do still enjoy it. Maybe down the road I'll get back into it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be on the list when you go to Japan then?
No, I mean we'll see, right? We'll see if it's like see what kind of trip it is.
Yeah.
If it's with Emily, my partner, maybe not. But if it's with some lads and we're going to go skiing,
yeah, sure.
So be it. But living in New York, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be the end goal. My brother lives there, so he. He's such a jammy little guy. He's a full-time model over there. So if you go on Ralph Lauren's website, you'll see him all over there. But he just seeing his lifestyle. Obviously, I see through a very different lens to a realistic lifestyle of living over there. But the main thing I like is just their subway system.
Yeah,
it's such a walkable city. Any day you're there. Admittedly, as a tourist, you're just walking around.
Yeah.
But even people who live there, they're just walking around, catching the subway. I just like the active lifestyle over there.
Yeah. Full-time model, not part-time.
Full-time. He's, how old is Doug now? He must be 26, 25. And I think since probably he was 22, 23, he's been full-time. So
yeah, right.
Yeah,
wow.
he's been killing it. He's been on, the main billboard in Times Square for a company called Hourglass. They do makeup.
Wow.
So they're in Mecca. Like, you go into Mecca, you see all their stuff. He's got such defined eyebrows, so they did a campaign with like his profile. So he's done some cool stuff.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah.
I've only been to New York once, but I just was so blown away by it living up to the hype. You know when a lot of things are hyped?
Yeah, and it doesn't meet the expectation.
It's hard to meet that expectation, but I found New York just exceeded it.
How long were you there for?
It was a relatively quick trip. It was like 3-4 days, I think.
Okay, sure. I mean, you mostly see what you need to see, right? Manhattan is sort of what everybody quantifies New York as. So you spend a couple of days there, see everything, eat a lot of yummy food, and then, you're out and it's a nice experience.
Yeah. I just remember the peak of the trip was like running through New York, running through Central Park, listening to Jay-Z. It was so good. Yeah, such a good time.
What time of year were you there?
It was August, so it was like summer. Yeah, nice and warm.
Yeah, a bit sticky though. The city's quite humid.
Yeah,
so
but would love to go back. So,
mate, you got to do it. I've got so many recommendations if you do go back.
Well, doing the marathon would be on my list.
Okay, it's quite hard to get in though, isn't it?
It is quite hard, yeah. So I think a few different ways to get in, but I would like to get in through qualifying. That would be cool.
Okay. What's the time you got to run to qualify?
I'd have to double check. It does vary a little bit based on age, but I think it's about like a 3:18 maybe for a full. Sure. Yeah, give or take. 3:18, 3:20, something like that.
3:20. So achievable.
Yeah, pretty fast, but
back
not,
yourself,
not
mate.
Crazy. Yeah,
back yourself.
Absolutely doable.
Yeah. Can you put that into that AI you mentioned that does your running program?
Oh, totally.
Hey, within the next 2 years, I want to be in this kind of condition.
100%.
What kind of?
Yeah.
Why is that not your prompt then? Get it in there.
I think what I might do just to hedge my bets. I think if you go on the ballot, like there's a lottery system.
Yeah, sure.
But I think if you go on the ballot for 3 years in a row, and if you still haven't gone in, I think you're like given a default entry.
Okay.
So
have you entered before the ballot?
No, I haven't. No.
Probably should start entering.
It's probably a good time, right? But it's a good reminder with any goal, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
If it's not defined, if it doesn't have a timeline, it's really easy to either like bump it or just not prioritize it.
Not prioritize it, yeah, and then get distracted with like shiny object syndrome. So other things pop up and they're shiny, so you pursue that.
100%.
But it brings to mind that old saying where it's like the best time to plant a tree was like 20 years ago, but the second best time is today because you have today kind of thing. So but easier said than done. Comes down to motivation and discipline, right? Mm-hmm. Motivation's doing things you want to do when it's convenient or suits, whereas discipline is just doing the thing when you need to do the thing. So.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I've been leaning into that a little bit lately, just with like these Wednesday morning swims, getting those done like at the beach. Nice.
How's the water been to you lately? Cold?
Yeah, quite cold.
Are you full wetsuit or what are you?
Nah, just jumping in.
Jeez.
Togs on.
Look, hats off to you, mate. That's impressive.
I don't know. I'm just sort of fascinated with that whole like doing things that you don't want to do, the hard thing. I don't know. I don't know if it's like right, wrong, or otherwise, but
supposedly really good for you. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a name for doing things that are like difficult and you typically don't want to do. And I read this ages ago, and the study showed that athletes have an enlarged area or an overactive area in their brain, and it's typically the area that's involved with discipline, doing hard things. And it was a really good result or effect from doing all those difficult things and whatever it did to your brain. So you're probably doing something wonders for yourself.
Got it. Yeah, so it's strengthening that ability to do it. Yeah. It is funny though, like yesterday was a prime example. I had like a run booked in and just don't want to do it, right? Like it's just not what I'm feeling like doing. And then
especially if it's after work.
Man, it was just like, I don't know. I don't know, like the PT I work with, Hamish, he was talking at an event that we ran, and he's just saying like, I get people say all the time to me like, I don't feel like working out. He's like, look, if I only worked out when I felt like it, I'd only work out like maybe once a month. Yeah. Like I never feel like working out. And this is coming from a guy that his whole life is
his job. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's quite good to hear actually. That like puts a lot of reference around it.
Yeah. I mean, I think a good way to frame it is when I was really into sport, and that was sort of like my personality, it becomes your life. A lot of people when I was going from that into business would ask, they would be like, how'd you do that for so many years? Because, we'd train like 50 weeks a year, 6 days a week, could have one rest day a week. And everyone was like, what's the secret sauce? Like, how do you stay motivated? And the answer is like, you're not motivated half the time. When your alarm goes off at 5 a.m. to go to the track or go to the gym, that voice, everybody's got it. And it's like, nah, snooze the alarm, go back to sleep, The motivation's what you feel when you set the alarm at night, but when you wake up, it's not there. And I got up and did it. Yeah. But a lot of it is accountability. So for me, when I was really into the gym, I had Kai from Platinum was my gym partner. And so I knew if I didn't go to the gym, I was going to get my balls busted that day. So it's like, even though when I woke up, I was like, I don't want to go today. I don't want to gym. It's cold. It's winter. It's raining.
Yeah.
But I still got up and went because I knew Kai was going to bust my balls about it. So for me, accountability is the way to get around motivation, discipline,
100%,
and make sure you get it done.
Yeah, it's so interesting, right? Like we're willing to commit to someone else, but to our own self, it's different.
Yeah, especially when like we all know that health is so important, and one of the easiest way to be healthy is just to move more.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, just move more. And so it's, yeah, humans are very emotional and strange in our decision making.
Totally. Yeah. Here's a question for you around like the people that you spend time with. Do you believe in that theory about like the people that you spend time with will ultimately dictate what you become?
Yeah, I do. And I've got a great example for that. Typically, as an athlete, if you want to get better, so like track, for example, so say if you're a 100-meter sprinter, typically if you want to go get better, you go train with people who are better than you, and you generally bring yourself up to that level. And I think that's true in everything. I like to look at it and go, you're the average of the people you hang out with. So even if you're exceptional, disciplined, driven, hardworking, socially conscious, give back to the community, whatever it is, but the 5 closest people you hang out with do none of that, by the law of averages, you don't really do any of that, do you? So
yeah,
I do think that's how things play. So surrounding yourself with good people is definitely a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, look at your 5 closest friends, David. Would you say that they're all in a similar age and stage of life, similar goals?
I mean,
similar values?
One thing, I guess it's become more and more clear to me, like with like, the clients I work with, like typically they're business owners, and so they're generally like, depending on which age and stage they're at, they're either like really quite maxed out with the business, and or if they have like wife, partner, family, like there's not really a lot of other time. Like there's really just work and work, or work and a bit of fitness, or work, family, and a bit of fitness. And so the social bit is like quite limited.
How does balance look for you then in terms of your day to day?
I mean, I'm probably not too much different. Like I'm lucky that I enjoy my days. Like I enjoy what I do, and that a lot of the people that I spend time with are people that I would consider to be a good average to aspire to.
Cool.
But like socially, I like, just to dance around the question a little bit, I've got a friend who has this sentiment that like he likes to have friends that he's like jealous of in some area. And jealous is a bit of a weird word, but
I get the point.
Exactly. The point is that he's either like he respects either like your fitness ability, or like your relationship, or your energy, or your humor, or your business skills, whatever the case may be.
I like that actually. I feel like it's a positive way, even though it's used the word jealousy though. I feel like it's a positive way to look at it, right?
Totally.
It's something that you're aspiring for.
Yeah.
So I'm probably in a similar boat to you, where I'm very lucky that a lot of the people I deal with day to day through work are just people that I like. They're good people. Mm-hmm. They've got similar goals, values, on a similar trajectory, trying to target growth and things. So that makes it easy, right? Because when you are trying to juggle, family, fitness, work, and when you've got big aspirational goals with work, it is hard to find time for social. That is purely social, that people aren't related into that, I don't know, bubble, right? You have your bubble.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I guess it's like a blended experience. I see it like, what is like social versus networking versus like, I don't know. I just sort of see it as like one big continuum, right?
It's just part of business, right? It's encompassing. So
I don't know. I guess like some people have got a more distinct, like, they've got their friend group, which is just friends, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe old school friends or sporting friends or something like that. But I don't know. Mine all just sort of blurs in together.
Blurs into one. When I did athletics, my coach, Terry Lomax, he had this saying, which he would call, I think he called it 24/7 athlete.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, you're an athlete even when you're not training, when you're not, seeing physio, when you're not looking after your body, whatever. And it's all the little things. It's, it's taking the stairs instead of the elevator. It's sitting with good posture. It's, standing more than you sit, that kind of thing. And I think that 24/7 athlete thing applies to business as well. So like as an owner, it's, 24/7 business owner, because everything fits into the bubble. Yes, you're catching up with friends, maybe socially, that are old school acquaintances, but I think everything is some form of marketing for you personally, right? Because those people are probably going to be your biggest advocates, and you never know who they're going to talk to, who they know, because New Zealand is so connected. So even though it is like a purely social setting, something can come out of it, even if that's not their like intended goal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it raises a good question about personal brand, right? Like often it's considered in like an online frame, but I mean, offline, anytime, like, we're humans, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just interesting, like when you, I don't know, like have someone that's like got a disconnected reality, right? Like one way online.
Exactly. So I think most people are pretty authentic with their personal brand, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty hard not to hide something when you're in front of the camera and trying to portray something. I think a lot of people are authentic, and who you are does come out. But again, New Zealand's a small place, right? So if you've got a very different brand off camera versus on camera, what you're putting forwards, people are going to know.
100%. Yeah. What's your take on that from a business perspective, like pushing personal brands and?
We're all for it at
yeah.
Gerrard's, yeah. So not sure if you're familiar, but there's heaps of content of Ethan out there in terms of video. So he's got a really strong, really well-known personal brand in the insurance industry.
Yeah.
And even now I still go to client meetings, think, oh, your business partner's the TikTok guy, because they've seen his videos.
Yes.
And so we're trying to get our staff more and more involved in that, because we're like, well, let's build your personal brands. You know, even if your journey doesn't keep you with Gerrard's forever, you're going to be better off for the personal brand. And the time we do have you, we'll be better off for you having a good personal brand. So we're trying to push that with them. But I think, I agree with you. It's hugely important. Hugely important.
Do you have any favorite personal brands that you follow, either here or offshore?
I mean, in terms of my social media, I don't follow anybody famous or anybody that I don't know. I try to keep my social media quite closed in terms of I only want to follow people who I actually want to know what's going on in their life. So I don't follow or actively track anybody, famous or any influencers. But the one that does come to mind is probably Alex Hormozi, because again, he's got that personal brand of, if you're into it, he's a massive gym junkie, right? The dude's huge, but also just that free advice space, So when I look at him and think of his personal brand, I'm like, you're super knowledgeable, you know your shit, right? Because you've got an unrefutable amount of evidence with everything you've put out there.
Yeah.
So in terms of a personal brand, I probably quite like what he's got going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
How about yourself? Who's the personal brand that you look at and go, that's it?
I like Ryan Serhant.
Oh yeah. What about that tickles your fancy?
I don't know. I like the effort that gets put into the production side, and
Sure.
I guess it's a combination of like storytelling, documenting the journey.
Yeah. Okay.
I find it like likable,
Sure. Was that part of the? I mean, you maybe have been asked this before in a previous podcast, but what was the motivation or the driver behind starting the podcast? Because you could argue it's done wonders for your personal brand.
Oh, totally.
Before I came on, I just asked everybody who I thought would know you about you.
Yeah.
And you cannot find a person in Christchurch with a bad thing to say about you. I'm pleased to
Oh,
report.
that's good to hear.
First thing that comes out of people's mouth is usually praise.
That's so
David's
good.
a nice guy. He's driven. He's super helpful. He's supportive.
Yeah.
That was all the things. So was this like a personal branding thing, or was it just a passion project?
Oh, I mean, it was kind of accidental that it's got to this point. Like, I started the challenge like based on a few different criteria or reasons, but I just wanted to document the progress of it, and
Sure.
It sort of morphed into this thing that like I didn't really foresee happening, right? And so it's funny how these things happen, right? But ultimately, I wanted a way to like be able to consistently document, and I'm not like big on say like editing and like making my own content.
Yeah, okay.
Like I would never like edit a video, and so I wanted like audio because I don't have to edit that.
Makes sense.
And so for the first like year and a half, there was no editing, like nothing.
It's a conversation, a yarn gets put out there.
And if any guests like said something that they didn't want on there, it's like,
sorry, mate,
it's on there.
I'm not an editing guy.
I don't edit. Yeah. And I knew that I wasn't like great at writing, so I didn't want to document it via a blog, for example.
Yeah, okay.
And even like posting on social media, it's not really my strong suit. So I picked a podcast just because I knew I could probably stick with it.
Yeah, okay.
And so this was the vehicle, but yeah, it's cool when you start something and it just sort of morphs into a slightly different thing.
Yeah, just evolves.
Yeah.
How have you found it in terms of effort, I guess? Because I'm of the opinion like the grind is real and shit is hard. Like if you want to do well in something, you need to put 200% into it.
Yeah.
A lot of businesses, what I call the hope and pray model, they sort of just start a business and they're like, oh, business will come to us.
Mm-hmm.
But how have you found doing a podcast on top
podcast.
of what you do? Because obviously you've got quite a few clients with the business advisory stuff. So how do you shape everything into a day?
I think the hardest point of the podcast was probably when I was doing it like with. I think I'd moved on from the phone phase. That's how it started, just recording with voice notes.
What, a phone on the table?
Yeah.
Epic.
Literally just voice recording and publishing it. I then went to like the basic, USB-C style mic. And I think that's probably the hardest phase. There was like probably 20, 30 episodes that, I was recording, posting it, uploading it, descriptions, short form, that kind of stuff. But then like shout out to this guy, Toby, who hit me up and he's like, oh, man, like, I want to, like, I love what you're doing. Can I get involved somehow? And so he was awesome. He like helped basically take it from episode maybe 40 to 120-ish.
Okay, so
like
he's quite involved for
most
a while.
of last year, yeah. Like, so basically he was just awesome at like the editing side of it or like the production side of it.
Yeah.
And like I guess I've gone through phases where it's hard to balance it. Like I went through a phase of like, 2 episodes a week being posted plus like recording, 2, 3, 4 episodes and like getting an archive. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like anything. It is hard to keep it in check and like make sure that it's not absorbing too much time. But
do you still have that cadence? So 2 episodes a week and then
1 episode a week. Yeah,
a couple on the backlog.
It's pretty good now. Like shout out to Distinct. Like those guys have been awesome to like have as a facility, a resource. Like it's pretty awesome now. Yeah.
Sure.
But
you had your Casey Neistat moment and now you're past it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's
where he did that post where he'd like post a vlog every day for a year or whatever he did.
That's right.
That's just nuts to me, but hey.
That guy's good, right?
Yeah, it is good, but it's just what I think about with you, how you're doing 2 a week and then obviously recording a few extras to have in the backlog. That's probably I'd call that your Casey Neistat era.
I went a full
just at the grindstone, mate.
Yeah, just not quite as cool and entertaining and fun. But.
Oh, mate, rate yourself. No.
Yeah. But no, I think I've found my cadence with it, my rhythm, and probably having that like 95% like alt/business coaching and then 5% podcast. So
cool,
pretty happy with that.
Because how have you found? I saw a video of David Goggins the other day that I thought was epic, and it was him saying he was like, it's never been easier to be exceptional. Like in terms of the opportunity and tools that people have available, anybody can put in effort to be exceptional. But he said on the other side, it's never been a more distracting time to be alive and be distracted from what you can do to be exceptional. So have you found like managing distractions and stuff?
Man, it's an ongoing thing. Like that's honestly like one of my biggest obsessions is just how do I make the most of my time?
Yeah, how do you dial in and keep on?
Yeah, how do I become the most effective that I can be? This whole recurring theme of like 16 hours a day keeps coming up in a lot of coaching sessions, right? And it's the fact that we've all got the same amount of time. Yeah. You, me, Elon, Hormozy, right?
Yeah.
We've all got choices on how we spend it, and I think it's just going to be a continual sharpening process. Yeah, just trying to like experiment and get better, like scheduling, batching stuff, technology, automation, AI, people, buying back time, all these things, right? Like,
is AI big in the podcast space?
I mean, I don't know. I think so.
Is it?
Yes. The answer is yes.
There we go. From a professional.
Yeah. I mean, I think from what I understand, it used to be a pretty manual process, but I think now it's probably sped it up quite a bit.
Yeah, cool. Oh,
cool, there you go.
Hell yeah. So is that done automatically? Okay, because I saw some guy on Instagram talking to the camera, and then apparently he was using AI because he's quite avoidant from the camera with his eyes, but the AI did something to make it look like he was always looking at the at the camera. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's pretty epic.
It's wild, right?
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's a funny one. The podcast, like over the last couple of years, like a few people hit me up, be like, oh, like I want to start a podcast. Like, how do I do it? I'm like, honestly, just don't overcomplicate it. Like, just pick up your phone and like hit record. Don't do the video thing. Like, it'll just confuse you, and it'll just be one step too hard. I think you want to build reps and like get confidence in doing it without any excuses, basically.
It's like an Occam's razor approach, right? The simplest solution is usually the right one.
Right, yes.
So
yes.
Pick up the phone, sit it on the desk, have a conversation.
Yeah.
And then build. Cool.
Yeah. I think that applies to a lot of life and business especially, right? Like I think it's easy to use that excuse like, oh, like when I get blah, 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 like that's when I'll do it.
Yeah.
But it's like, really, you just need to pick up the phone.
Just need to do it. It comes back to discipline, right? It's just doing the thing.
Yeah.
Chris Williams has got a great, I don't listen to his podcast, but I've seen snippets of it on Instagram. There's a great one. It's him reading a script about doing the thing. And he's like, making a list about how you need to do the thing is not doing the thing. Telling your friends or talking to people about doing the thing is not doing the thing. Making an action plan that you're going to follow to do the thing is not doing the thing. The only thing that's doing the thing is doing the thing. Like, go do the thing.
I love that.
Yeah, I love it so much as well.
Yeah. It summarizes a lot of what we're sort of talking about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But again, it comes back to like motivation and discipline. And it can be quite confronting, right? Because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm motivated to do this or I need to get motivated. But yeah, I don't think motivation does a lot because it's you either do the thing or you don't, whether you're motivated.
Yeah. I mean, accountability is like this word that comes up a lot. And, I've experimented with so many different methods of accountability, right?
Sure.
Had this thing called 30 Flex for a while, which is essentially like a group of people that held each other accountable. Kind of like a combination of 75 hard mixed with like a penalty system for failure.
Okay, what were the penalties?
So it was money, right? So like it was, like a fine. You chose the amount of the fine, but you essentially committed to doing the thing. Otherwise, you owed the group money.
Okay, I like the sound of that.
So,
is it still in play? Is it still a
no,
thing?
it was just a distraction at the end of the day, but
Okay.
conceptually it made sense.
Yeah, sure.
But I mean, I use a variety of different techniques for accountability. Like just recently had to tick off this task, which I don't love admin. Like it's not one of my passions, and so had to do this administrative thing, and only I could do it. And so I had this again financial penalty, right? Essentially, if I didn't do it, I had to pay some money, and I'm like, it's whatever you need, right? It's whatever you need to get it done.
Look, getting it done is getting it done. I don't think it matters how you get it done. So whether you have to, do that, as long as you're doing it, I think you're doing it, and that's the important thing.
Yeah, the Monday morning list, which came up a few podcasts ago. Speaking to someone recently, that's another tool, right? The Monday morning list. You create your list for the week or the day, and then send it to a friend that you exchange lists essentially.
And you can check in.
Again, failure to comply equals a fine.
Equals a fine, sometimes penalty. Look, it's a great way to do it.
Yeah,
it's a great way to do it. So I've had the benefit of Ethan, who obviously he's the most disciplined, committed person I've ever met in my life. And so he's a great accountability buddy, because if I say I'm going to do something and I don't do it, he's immediately like, hey, you haven't done that thing. Why haven't you done it? And then I've got to be like, oh shit, and I do the thing, So that's been really good. I think business has worked quite well for us because we've got accountability with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, we're both pretty good in terms of getting things done and doing what we say, but having a safety net of accountability, so helpful.
Totally.
So helpful.
Yeah. I guess, have you had a business other than Gerrard's? No.
No, one and only.
So you kind of don't know the other option, right, of not having a partnership? Yeah.
Yeah, it's been the norm. It's what I'm used to. So, because again, I've heard from a lot of my clients who are, sole traders, it's them on their own. So it's interesting hearing their perspective about business and challenges and how they find markets and things and what they're dealing with. Mm-hmm. And it's just them. For them, a lot of them, I mean, you might find that with some of your clients, quite often their soundboard is just their partner at home.
Yeah.
Go home at the end of the day from work and it's just bounce everything off their partner who's not as involved, doesn't really know what's going on, kind of thing. So
may or may not be into it.
Yeah, exactly. It might be a bit of a bore, come home and then your partner just hears all about your day and your problems. Probably not the best thing ever.
No, it's definitely a reason like why, it's one of the things with coaching, right? Like it's the sounding board and the fact that like it's almost like a quasi-partnership in a way.
Yeah, sure.
Non-equity or non-involved in the business technically, but sort of that resource that, in a partnership dynamic, you've got that ability to communicate with someone that knows exactly what you're going through, right? So,
well, I guess the way I view what you do with the business coach is essentially you are a form of accountability, right? Because if you make a plan with them and set timeframe goals and they don't do it, you're going to be the first person to say, well, why didn't you do that? What was stopping you? And then secondly, obviously, you're a wealth of knowledge, so you can help them do those things. So
yeah. It's funny how it works, right? Like with reference to the accountability, it's about like the PT, right? Like I got the sessions every Saturday, right? And I know that he's going to ask about the week.
Yeah.
He's going to ask about the nutrition, the steps, the weights,
so
right?
We all know it's important, but sometimes accountability is required.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect.
No.
Well, not that I've met anyway.
No.
But
interesting. Good times.
Good times.
Well, thanks for coming in, Marcus.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Time's flown.
How long have we been in here for?
Hour and a half.
Time has flown.
Yeah.
No, it's been interesting. I think I said to you on that sheet, my goal was you said, what's the goal of the conversation? And my goal was just to have a yarn and leave better off than when we sat down. So now I've got a reading list, so thank you for that.
Absolutely.
And heard some interesting takes on things, and you've reminded me how important accountability is. So I haven't actually been going to the gym with Kais anymore. We go to different gyms now. And admittedly, I've been slack on the gym. I'm not dialed in. So
maybe it's time to change that.
You might be getting a call after
I reckon.
this.
100%.
Yeah, he's been twisting my arm about us joining IHF. So maybe that'll be where we'll meet again in the middle.
Totally. Does he go there?
He's just about to join, I believe. Yeah. He's currently at a City Fitness by his house, but he said it's quite empty. It's like a big brand new City Fitty in Northwood.
Oh, yeah.
And he said there's just no one in there when he goes in the morning. And he quite likes, he's like a people person.
Right.
Don't know how much you know about Kais, but he's very bubbly. So he likes a thriving, busy environment, which his gym currently isn't. Yeah, right.
Yeah, IHF's pretty good for that. There's definitely some yarns. I joke that there's like actually weights there other than the sauna and the coffee bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no.
No, I have heard that.
It's a good option. Yeah, nice. Cool, man. Well, thank you so much.
No, thanks for having me. Episode 198 in the books, mate.
There we go. Absolutely. You, me, and Gerry.
Hell yeah.
Gerry's having a nap.
Maybe we can actually get him on camera for the next one.
Gotta think so.
You'll have to get Ethan in on one, and then he can.
Mate, I've been trying. Maybe this is some accountability for
I
Ethan.
did talk to him about it, and he said, he was like, I want to go on the podcast when Gerrard's is so successful that I'll actually feel like I have something people will get value out of listening to, because I've been through and experienced everything.
Yeah, right.
That's what he said his logic was. He was like, I want to get to a point where I've got enough experience in life and business that I feel like I value to put out. But I argued with him. I was like, mate, look at what you've done so far.
Yeah.
So I think he might be waiting a while before he jumps on.
You'd wonder what those metrics are.
He's a pretty driven person, so his metrics are probably, the bar will be quite high.
Quite high, yeah. Yeah,
The bar will be quite
it's
high.
not a 6-week type of
No.
timeline.
You've probably got years or maybe a couple of months at the minimum on.
What? We've got another 7.5 years, so
There you go,
I'd
mate.
like to think there's plenty of time in that window, right?
He'll be on before you hit your 10 years and 10 million.
Yeah.
But when? Probably later in the piece.
Nice. So good, man. Thank you again. And we'll see you back in the next one.
Absolutely.